Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Up now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for circuit disqualifying Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Old Bastards Racing League. I am your host here tonight, Gareth McAllister. Unfortunately, not joined in the booth by James the Beautiful East due to him still healing from his foot. So hopefully that still goes well. If you missed it last week, he was mentioning that he did have a small, I believe it was almost a break actually, in his, I believe, right foot when he was deciding to do some interesting stuff around the house. And I think it was fixing a chicken coop, if my memory serves me right. But regardless, here we are joining the Old Bastards Racing League for the Kimball Cup Series. And we are midway through qualifying, watching it wrap up here at Phoenix Raceway. Now we have 130 laps going to be on show for you tonight. And our pit road speed is 45 miles an hour in this 1 mile, very sort of tricky oval. I'm not quite sure how to describe it other than just crazy, really, because it's such an odd shape. As we can watch Joey Buscemi now trying to put his time down. As he's going to make his way, he's going to show you. So there's the start-finish line. Then there's the dog leg, which drivers have been using all throughout qualifying so far. Can get the car a bit uneasy though, as it does cut the course a lot though, so we're going to see that into play, I'm sure, especially two wide action. This long left-hander all the way down to the longest straightaway on the track, and then into a very short, very quick, we'll catch you out if you're not ready for it, left-hander back into start-finish line. So there is, I would say, 4 corners. I'd say the dog leg is 1, 2 and 3 would be on the far side, which you can see Buscemi once again going to as he makes his way on to pit road. Have a look at Greg McDaniel as he tries to put in a lap as well. Gone up into the 3rd spot. McDaniel going very high indeed. Up the standing order. The number 1 machine. As he's also going to come down to pit road because qualifying is still going underway. Let's see, we got Brian Lynch out on track, making his way, getting ready to set a time down. On Wanamaker, Wayne Hufford, Chris Bates, all out on track at the moment, trying to set some times and get themselves on the board here. So we're expecting around about 60-ish laps if we go under green. Probably, I would say, around 55 to 65 laps as a green flag run on these tires. Tires definitely going to be the aim of the game tonight over fuel, as fuel can last quite a lot longer, but these tires are going to get very, very loose very, very quickly. As Chris Bates, while he's been out on track, he's gone up into the 2nd spot, just behind Courtney Nelson, who I must apologize for last week, what I said there, and I don't have to repeat it to know what went on. And Chris Bates has gone for a little bit of spin across the line. Not sure if that's actually going to count, but his 2nd place is still intact for the moment. Wayne Hufford now going to make his way around this tricky oval. I got to be careful not saying tricky triangle, as first of all, it's not a triangle, and second of all, that is Pocono's thing, as Kevin Strandberg has just set the second fastest lap of the session. So everyone's struggling to keep up with Courtney Nelson, and Nelson has definitely shown the fast way around the track. As Ogle coming out from nowhere, Tom Ogle. As we saw last week, very, very strong pace. Lot of, well, I mean, I guess a lot of pace is what I was just saying, but yeah, a lot of speed in that machine. As Tom Ogle goes to the top spot of qualifying in that number 11. MacArthur also out on track now. He's in third, trying to get his way up into the top spot. Gonna have to be a little bit quicker. Not sure if he's been able to do it though, not quite. He's gonna stay in third position. Josh Robinson still out on track at the moment, the 23 machine. As we're just about wrapping up qualifying, so he's going to have to get this lap in pretty quick. As he's coming to the line, almost round the final bend, just a fourth corner. It's his way onto the back. There we go. Not sure if you call it back straight. Just before the dock leg, and wow, Robinson all the way into second spot. Lucky last, coming in right at the end. No one else out on track at the moment. Robinson just couldn't take the top spot away from Ogle, but managing to place his nose there into the second place spot. So fantastic stuff from him there, right at the very end. Right as we get ready to get this underway. Have a look grid here as we've got Tom Ogle starting on pole. Josh Robinson is starting in the second position. Courtney Nelson and Dwayne MacArthur are on row 2. Kevin Strandberg and Chris Bates on row 3. Lloyd Moore and Greg McDaniel starting alongside him on row 4. Ryan Lindsay, Eddie Jones are going to be in row 5. Kermit Gentry Jr., and Al Turner are going to be in 11th and 12th on your 6th row. Cameron Chauncey, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong and I apologize, and next to Clay Walker in the 7th row. Jonathan Green and Brian Lynch in the 8th row. Wayne Hufford and Ryan Garisco, I'm pretty sure I said that right. I was trying very hard to get that one right. Mark Schrader and Joey Buscemi are going to round out the 10th row. Dean Gear, pretty sure I'm saying that right. There's a couple of names here which I'm really struggling with, but I'm sure I will get down pat eventually as I get used to my bearings here with all these different drivers. 22nd spot, Lee Warsdale. Kenneth Schultz and Victor Lane are going to be in the 12th row. Keep cycling on back. William Martin, Alan Wanamaker, followed by Jeff Linden and Brian McRubbin in 27th to 28th. 29th, Bruce Peterson. Michael Watts in 30th. 31, John Hastings. Bob Follenbaum. Chris Clark. Troy Baker in 33rd, 34th. Patrick Martindale and Bert Dirty Dodson is going to be in the 36th position. Mike Lemoncheck, that is a completely different name. Mike Lemoncheck and Jeff Miller going to be rounding out this grid in the 37th and 38th positions. So we get ready to run under green. Phoenix Raceway opened up in 1964. Quite a long time ago. Start-finish straight was moved in 2018, though, to this new configuration. It used to be on the back stretch around where you can see is going to be the pit entry cone just after this long sweeping turns 2 and 3. However, it has been moved to just after the now turn 4, which used to be turn 1. As we get ready to roll into green. Obviously, it's going to be a long time pacing before we actually get to the flag. As once again, it is around the corner from where these drivers are lining up. Should make for some very interesting finishes, which is why it was put in the first place. A lot of dive passes potentially happening right at the end, as Ogle and Robinson prepare to start us off for 130 laps here at Phoenix. And we are underway as Tom Ogle gets a nice jump off the front. Josh Robinson just behind, having to go in tow just behind Courtney Nelson and Dwayne MacArthur side by side. MacArthur goes wide a little bit as Courtney Nelson tries to go underneath. Josh Robinson just on the high side there. Robinson and Nelson right next to each other at the moment, fighting for that second place spot. The draft really coming into its own for Robinson, though, as he follows by Ogle. MacArthur and Nelson now. MacArthur using the outside line to his advantage. No dogleg being used there for Courtney Nelson, not wanting to try it as of yet. And the front 4 are going to basically stay where they are for the moment. As the front 3, you can see right there, Robinson is going to make a move straight away onto Ogle. And they're going to be directly behind each other. As Ogle gets passed on the underside now by Robinson. Robinson going for the lead. 23 and the 11 so close together now. As Ogle looks much more confident on that high side line than Robinson at the moment. And manages to squeeze past there. As MacArthur's now going to try and take advantage on that high side. Fastest time by so far at 28.05, excuse me, straight away. The timing software showing me up as Tom Ogle has made the fastest way around the track in that third lap, first position. So he has made his way around for sure as these 3 keep on staying right next to each other. And the 2 Fords running away from that Toyota of Dwayne MacArthur in the 83 machine. As we cycle it all the way back to 25th, there's a battle for position here with Alan Watermaker and Lee Worsdale as they go side by side here. Worsdale in the 99. Watermaker on the high side there in his Camry, the 74 machine. They continue to be side by side. Tom Ogle just had another fast lap of the race with a 27.88. So ramping up the pace quickly, absolutely as quickly as they can. Getting word from chat a little while ago saying that I was saying most of them right, which is fantastic news to hear. So I will see if I can keep on saying their names right as we continue tonight. Mark Schrader is getting passed by Jonathan Green on the low side. They're fighting it out for 18th place. There are battles all over the track. You can see just ahead of them as well. There was a battle there with Cameron Chaussee fighting with Robert Briscoe. I'm pretty sure I've said that wrong once again. I'll try and get that one dialed in. Once again, Jonathan Green and... oh, there's a big... someone's gone high. I missed that. That was Dean Greer. Excuse me. To the high side there. Got a little bit loose. Seemed to have to check it up. And there's so much action and so many cars on the track as we're really struggling to keep hands with what is going on. Ogle continues to stay in the lead of this battle though. And there seems to be some battling going on back here as Lee Worsdale continues to try and make his way around Wanamaker. They cannot seem to leave each other alone. And it looks like McRubbin is going to find himself involved in this. Wanamaker falls behind the both of them. Tyres, as I said, aim of the game. Especially that right rear is going to wear very, very quickly. Further up front, as we pan from battle to battle, Cameron Chaussee, and I believe that is going to be Jonathan Green fighting side by side now. As the gear wrench back to number 13 is going to take advantage of that one. And they're going to fall back into single file. Linus just ahead. Robert Barisco. Oh, I'm going to try, and I'm going to struggle with that one all night. I can already see it. They've sorted their battle out as Peterson, and Dawn Greer is really struggling with that high side into 3 and 4. Into 4. He's really struggling with that high side there. Not able to get the car dialed in the way he wants it, and he's fallen down the standings a little bit now. The biggest mover of the race so far is Bruce Peterson, up from 29th to the 19th position in that 22 machine. Very vivid paint job at that as well. Very hard car to miss on track. While even further back, Hastings and McRubbin just behind underneath Greer again for the 22nd spot. This battle continues as Greer has just found himself falling down the standings, as we said earlier. He's just fighting a very loose race car. We have been noted, talking to some of the drivers before the broadcast, that loose is not a good enough word, not a strong enough word to describe this car, as it continues to try and throw the back end around. And we've got Brian Lindsay now underneath Jonathan Green. They're side by side. That's fighting for 30 seconds, so all the way back in the pack, doesn't matter where you are, and someone has gone for a little bit of a ride. It looks like Josh Robinson has fallen down the standings a bit. I believe I saw the name, John. Maybe there was a bit of a blink. Yeah, we're showing Courtney Nelson jumping all over the place as well. So a bit of a blink as we continue to sort this one out. Whether it's the drivers or whether it's my Australian internet, hopefully we can bring you the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. If not, I apologize for my Australian connection. It is trying its best out here. And so am I, as Brian Lynch, and so are the drivers. That's for sure, as Brian Lynch continues to try and fight back against Cameron Chaussee, who keeps finding himself in battles. Keep making me say his name until I get it right, as Greg McDaniel looks like he's in a bit of a tussle with Eddie Jones just behind. And Kevin Strandberg just in front. This battle now for 6th position, as drivers start fanning out a little bit more, getting used to the track. Joey Buscemi down in 30th on the inside of Bert Dodson. Bert Dodson falling behind Brian Lindsay, going to take advantage as well. So we're having some timing issues. It is week 13 on the iRacing calendar at the moment, which, as we know, for those who don't know, that's typically the week when iRacing has a whole bunch of updates and a whole bunch of changes to their system. So it can lead to quite a bit of cutting in and out for fellow broadcasters as well as drivers alike, and causing major problems with live timing software. But we're going to keep on keeping on as Tom Ogle continues to lead this one, gaining himself about half a second gap at the moment on Josh Robinson, who has Dwayne MacArthur right behind. These three still not leaving each other behind as they continue to make their way around Phoenix Raceway. The Arizona Desert. MacArthur a lot lower than Josh Robinson there. You can see he'll have the run. MacArthur going to try and make the move. Yes, he's definitely going to make it to the inside. Will he make the pass? No, I don't believe so, as Robinson just has a little bit more of a run. A little bit better return through. Not going to use the dog leg. As Robinson makes his way underneath MacArthur there. This battle continuing to shape up. As Robinson deciding that he just doesn't have enough at the moment to pass Dwayne MacArthur on the inside. So going to have to look again later on in this race. Still a long way to go. Not even 30 laps into this event quite yet, as we've still got a lot of timing software issues. But Brian Lynch is certainly no doubt that he's in a battle at the moment with Kermit Gentry. I believe it's Gentry. Gentry Jr. Anyway, so Kermit Gentry has fallen back into the 16th position now. And some drivers really being favoured by this very oddly shaped track. Some drivers not so much. We're showing Brian Lindsay has fallen 20 positions since the start. There's Brian Lindsay there. That could have been from some prior issue that we missed, or could have been just the way that the grid shaped out. I'm not entirely sure, as we're going to go back to being sure. So we're going to go back to Bruce Peterson. Bruce Pearson, sorry. As Pearson has Mark Schrader right behind for the 18th position this battle is for. And just behind them, side by side, McRubbin and Martin. Martin now on the high side. That's not going to be the favourable position against that 09 machine. And McRubbin is going to take that spot away, just kind of glance off the nose. And Martin almost in trouble with Fellenbaum just behind. I'm trying to make that move now. Martin has lost some pace, trying to follow behind McRubbin. And getting into the mix now as well, Lee Warsdale made his way underneath. So Warsdale all of a sudden getting involved in here as well. Warsdale up a spot. Josh Robinson had a little bit of a blink. I saw him fall down. I wanted to skip straight there just in case. No, just a little bit of a blink. Has lost the spot to Dwayne MacArthur while we've been looking away though. Apologies for that one, as we missed the battle for second position. Kevin Strandberg and Nelson now fighting for the 4th place spot though. As just behind them, McDaniel and Jones right behind each other. There are a lot of vehicles to manage. 38 cars on a 1 mile track. It's a fair amount to cover. But honestly, I do not doubt. I'm not sure where I was going with that comment, but I was going to say something along the lines of how exceptional these drivers have been driving their vehicles at the moment, as Courtney Nelson falls down a spot to McDaniel now. Struggling a little bit with that machine all of a sudden on the high side. Perhaps tyres not working out just the way they want, as we're about halfway into the tyre stint. Or about what they're expected of, or deemed tolerable for these drivers. As Eddie Jones files in just behind Courtney Nelson, decides against making the move. Probably a smart decision there, as this is the closest battle in the top 10 at the moment. As there was just a little bit of a bobble by Courtney Nelson there. You saw it, just the tail end wigged out just a little bit as Eddie Jones goes for the inside line. Jones takes the spot away. Is Moore going to be able to follow through? And the 26 machine looks like Lloyd does manage to do so, and Nelson falls back to the 8th position. As we cycle it on back to 11th, Al Turner trying to make his way into the top 10. Just underneath Bates here. Not able to do so. Risco gonna try something, decides, whoa, gets it locked up very quickly. Just manages to avoid getting into the tail end of Turner here. And these battles just continue to keep on coming as we go all the way back to 20th position. Hastings and McRubbin side by side. Pearson not too far in front either. And these drivers, it honestly astounds me week in, week out, how close they drive, how many cars there are, and yet there are no, or very little in the way of incidents. And it is just fantastic, close wheel-to-wheel racing. As you can see, McRubbin has managed to stay in front of Hastings and is fighting now against Pearson once again. As you can see, the battle shaping up. McRubbin's going very, very wide against Pearson. And Pearson's still going to hold the inside line. They're still going to be side by side as we're going to jump on the hood of... Oh, excuse me, that's not the hood. That is the nose. Either way, we're going to jump on the nose. John Hastings, as he watches this battle unfold just in front of him, going to try and take advantage. Of Pearson, who was on the inside, but Pearson manages to get away nice and smooth. As you can hear just how long these machines have to be off throttle to get around turns 2 and 3. So these machines, so much power, but a lot of time not using it as they go around, especially around 2 and 3, as Pearson tries very hard to catch back up to McRubbin. And we have a battle going on closer up the field as Courtney Nelson once again finds his way falling further back. Clay Walker's now taken over the 8th spot. Just behind Nelson, Bates and Turner side by side. Just behind them, Briscoe and Hufford side by side. The battles just keep coming. Oh, and there's a little bit of an issue there as Garisco hit that outside wall. But managing to stay in front and stay in control of Wayne Hufford underneath. So fantastic job there not to have that wall play too much of a factor to the way that he's running his race at the moment. As Joey Buscemi now has just passed Wanamaker, has had a bit of an issue and has fallen back, was way inside the track and has fallen back all the way now to 26th position after trying to make his way through the field and succeeding for the most part. So a lot of work undone there and needing to get redone. He's going to make himself have a huge impact in this race. Alright, we are into lap 40, so tyres at this point starting to get quite worn down as there are some very close battles just ahead here. As just behind who we panned to, which was Mark Schrader, just behind Buscemi and Follenbaum, we're going side by side for a bit there. Buscemi takes over that spot though. So Buscemi has made making his way back up through the field. The biggest mover is not too far ahead. That is John Hastings in the 32 machine, up 13 spots from where he started, currently sitting in 18th. So amazing job from the 32 machine. You have to wonder how much fuel is taking part in the way these guys are racing as well. As Vollenbaum is on the high side of Buscemi. Excuse me, that's Lindsay on the inside. In the 24. Throwback, looks like. Nice throwback to Jeff Gordon there. The flames streaking across on the side of the vehicle. In a Camry, though, that'd be interesting to see Jeff Gordon in a Camry. As Pearson goes side by side with Schrader. Pearson stuck on the high side, not where Pearson is used to being. Pearson's used to being very much on the inside there. Although, manages to stick it anyway. As Pearson holds in front, but not by much. As you can always see just how slow these vehicles have to get to be able to make it around safely. In turns 2 and 3. Schrader has definitely taken over that spot. There's a little bit of a lock-up smoke there from further up the field. And this is turning into an absolute battle as we can see them fan out all over the place. Schrader is leading this huge pack of about, I want to say, 10 cars. As Schrader is fighting with, I'm not sure who that is. I think someone's come down pit road early, taken some tires, and they are out. I believe that is yeah, that's Michael Watts in the 84 machine. So they've come out after taking tires early on and making their way through the field. As Fallenbaum has made his way around Pearson now as well. So Ogle has found himself a steady lead in front of MacArthur and Robinson. Both those drivers, all those drivers separated by around about 2 seconds each. Clay Walker currently in the 4th position, about 10 seconds back from your top 3. Carisco finding himself with Cameron Chaussee. Of course, the 2 drivers that I'm really worried about saying their names wrong are going to be side by side. This was just meant to be, as they find themselves battling it out. Carisco going to take over that spot, but be checked up just in front. And that's going to cost him that position. So that was Jeff Linden. And we've got Victor Lane showing up as crashed, causing that first caution. So let's have a look at what caused this one. Oh, it looked like a cell spin. I fast forwarded that at the exact moment to get it wrong. As, yeah, just too much of the inside of the corner. Gets a little bit too much apron. Oh, half the car is on the apron. Right in front of Courtney Nelson. Nelson doing an amazing job. I don't know how Nelson managed to avoid that. Almost gets in the car up top. And everyone avoiding that caution is... Oh, not everyone avoiding. As the 94 machine picks up the bad end of that one. Nowhere to go. Just a little bit of a tap on the wall there. Have a look. Yeah, so Ogle's going to win the race off pit road. MacArthur Robinson in third is going to be... And then look at them fan out as they come across the timing line. You can see all the puffs of smoke trailing off. As, oh, that was a very close race off pit road between the two drivers that I find hard to pronounce with Chose and Garisco. So a lot of drivers and fans alike are liking so far how these next-gen cars are handling compared to how they were when they initially were released. A lot of them very, very tight in initial release, making it very, very hard to turn the corner and not needing a whole lot of car control to keep them planted. But now they've been readjusted, rescanned, and they're brought back in, and they have been changed to the point where they are very difficult to control. Very much a driver's machine, as it comes down to the ability of the driver as well as tire wear, as they get worn much more quickly from an ill handling oversteery type of a car. So, as my voice starts to fade away from me, I will take a drink here in just a moment. And there we go. So Ogle continues to stay out in the front of the pack for the moment. But that will be interesting to see Dwayne MacArthur not too far behind, as he's going to be starting on the outside line. The inside actually could be as well, but probably I would say on the outside line, as he's getting help from Eddie Jones just behind. As they fan out because they get ready to go to green. So Ogle, MacArthur, Robinson, Jones are going to be in your top four spots. McDaniel and Strandberg are going to be in the third row as we get ready to unleash a whole heap of horsepower once again. Everyone on fresh set of tires and fresh amounts of fuel. We're going to get ready to rock and roll once again, as Ogle staying a little bit high off of the inside. I'm going to get as much drive as we get ready to go back to green, and here we go. So it actually looks like MacArthur got a great jump on the high side. Not quite good enough to challenge against Ogle though, as Robinson has company from Jones on the high side. Robinson able to take that spot away though. Jones tucking in just behind. McDaniel going to tuck in as well. Your first side-by-side is going to be a little bit further back here with Strandberg and Clay Walker. Strandberg underneath Walker now. Alterna and Lloyd Moore just behind as well, as Alterna tries on the high side, gets stuck behind traffic as Clay Walker is up there, making sure he can't go any further. Lloyd Moore taking severe advantage of that one and taking that spot away from Alterna as they attempt to go three wide. Turner was looking for it, didn't find the gap that he needed, thought about it, thinking about it again, and just finds himself in the exact spot he doesn't want to be, as he is trapped behind Walker and on the low side behind Moore, and he gets loose and he comes back up onto the track and hits back into the 26, and they go back into the outside wall, and everyone fans out to try and avoid, but they can't. As the 12 comes in, the 99 machine gets stopped beautifully, making sure not to get involved, but may have hit the outside wall. And it is carnage, as we have another caution that will come out for this one. So we saw that one happen live, and we'll see it again. As, I'm not sure if there was a little nudge, or if he just got the rear end loose very quickly. It almost looked like there might have been a little nudge there with Moore. And Al Turner coming down the track trying to save it, unable to do so. Moore was still there when they came back up. And nice avoidance there from the 75 machine. But just unfortunate, as it looked like Mark Schrader coming in nowhere to go. There's cars all over the place. Not getting on the brakes quite hard enough and just plowing into the side there of the 76 of Al Turner. So series of events unfolds here again. Old Bastards Racing League Kimmy Bowl Cup Series. As one driver, very happy to see that come out. Victor Lane going to be able to be our lucky dog and going to make his way back around the pace car to get back onto the lead lap. As we've had quite a few cars come down pit road, Lloyd Moore included, to get some repairs fixed out and dished on that one. As I hate to admit it, but we're having a little bit of trouble with our YouTube, I guess, comment section side of things. As I'm seeing everything, I think, slightly delayed and at not the best of times, but I am trying to read all your comments. And it's great to see everyone turning out, by the way, and supporting either the league or perhaps your own, maybe even the only Australian you know. In which case, I'm automatically your favourite, and I'm the best. So, you know, feed my ego just a little bit there, as as we continue under pacing here for the moment. But Tom Ogle, definitely the dominant machine. MacArthur has shown some pace, especially on the restart on the high side last time by, so will he be able to do it again? Josh Robinson and Eddie Jones are still going to be in third and fourth. And in our third row, Greg McDaniel and Kevin Strandberg once again. So once again, thank you for your comments on the YouTube side of things. It is nice to see so many people coming out. We've got 30 viewers at the current moment. So absolutely amazing. I hope I'm not disappointing. I know the drivers certainly aren't. I'm trying to do the best I can as Ogle and MacArthur get ready to go to green one more time. But we couldn't do it without the fans at home who watch and support all the drivers and the league and everyone else. So thank you very much. I'm sure I'll say that again before the night is done. But Tom Ogle gets a very poor restart. May have spun the tyres a little bit. MacArthur gets a jump out in front, as Robinson also takes the third place spot fairly decisively against Eddie Jones. McDaniel's going to try and keep him up there, as McDaniel goes to the inside as well. But Jones getting a nice run on that high line, as Jones is going to try something against Robinson here. That will be a move. If he can make that one done, that will be very substantial indeed. Siding, and there goes Robinson. Robinson is around. He's managed to keep it, not actually going all the way around. Unbelievable effort, as he's going to have to find his way to file back in track without causing any type of collision, and does so. Maybe there's still 2 wide right around him, 3 wide now because of Robinson backing it down, making sure, and there's contact. There is contact just there, there's contact everywhere, but they managed to get around cleanly, unbelievably. No idea how that's been able to be done, as Robinson has filed back in. underneath Jonathan Green. Wanamaker was the real epicenter of that one, trying to go 3 wide, getting sandwiched in, and somehow managing to stay pointed in the right direction. Excuse me, with everyone around. Making me lose my voice up here in the booth. Normally I wouldn't be able to say this, but I can this time by because of this league's name. But these old bastards certainly know how to put on a show. As further up front, Cameron Chaussee and John Hastings are going to be going at it. Just behind them, McRubbin once again. These three have been close to each other in the past. They're going to be close to each other once again, fighting for that 11th place spot. And Hastings, no stranger to making his way through the field, up 19 spots now, just continues to be impressive. But that's definitely going to be the big story, is that issue that was just made. Well, that reel getting loose just before the dogleg, and we got a caution. Caution lights have come out. Brian Lindsay is shown as having a caution. That's Lindsay underneath Peterson, or trying to go underneath Peterson in the 24 machine. Let's see what happened to Lindsay here. That's going to be in turn 4. A little bit too much apron, isn't it? I'm seeing a little bit of apron. Yep, apron magic coming into play once again. Seeing more apron than if I was at a family barbecue and my dad was wearing a Kiss the Cook apron. That thing comes out way too often. And not exactly the best looking thing, I might add, because it is in pink. But he rocks it, so fair enough. As everyone just managing to avoid Brian Lindsay there. That was very close between Lindsay and I'm not sure who that red car was. Going to try and see if I can find that out. But we are going to go into the pits, really. A lot of drivers going into the pits at the moment, and I can't say I'm surprised. In fact, everyone coming down into the pits. I saw Ogle and I thought, I wonder if that's going to be some interesting strategy with MacArthur, but no. Both drivers deciding to come to the pits. Going to continue to stay pretty close together as Ogle just barely wins the race off pit road. And there is there is chaos as they try to get off of pit road without bumping and grinding into one another. But they've sorted it out now. That's what we like to see. As the car who was just ahead, who just managed to make it through, I believe that's going to be Troy Baker. And that all red number 18, I believe it was very close to getting hit there by a spinning Brian Lindsay. But managing to avoid just at the barest of margins. So a lot of those drivers that were laps down are going to be very excited to see all of these cautions coming out. I can tell you one person that's probably not as excited as everyone else is Tom Ogle in that top position. Ogle's shown that he has pace on the long run, but unfortunately hasn't been able to really use it as much as he would like to, as we've had the second caution now come out for grid. Getting some compliments in on the YouTube side of things now that I look at it. saying that I'm actually not doing too bad a job, which is great news, and also making me blush a little bit. Not going to lie about that. But yeah, I think this is the biggest one I've done so far, biggest turnout with 30 plus people, so it's great to see. And I'm sure all these drivers very much appreciate it as well. As we know, I will be talking to 3 of them come towards the later portion of the night. But we're getting ready to rock and roll once again. Showing as the 3rd caution. I believe it's actually the 2nd caution. Unless I am mistaken and my brain has forgotten one of them. But that is okay. As Ogle starts to lead them out to the beginning of our apparently third restart. As Ogle gets the jump up front. MacArthur not too far behind though, as Eddie Jones struggles to keep up. I say struggles, I mean, proving me wrong a little bit, trying to get underneath MacArthur, not able to do so, but getting it down really well to get underneath McDaniel. So McDaniel's going to fall into 4th position now. Strandberg and Clay Walker are going to be side by side. Strandberg underneath. Strandberg's going to take that position. Wayne Hufford is going to try and follow through in the 75. Oh, and there's a little bit of a touch from Clay Walker on that outside wall. And we're going to have a caution once again. So the old moniker of cautions breeding cautions. We're showing as Jeff Linden has crashed. Oh, 3 wide. That's looking very interesting. No, then wasn't 3 wide. They decided to back out of it. But Pearson was going too hard in. Way too hard from Pearson, sending it into the inside of Linden. And Linden gets caught up and has to go into the outside. Yeah, just gets absolutely plowed into the back of by Hastings, as well as Chaussee. And, yeah, cautions breeding cautions. What else can we say? Thankfully, no one else really getting involved in that one. All the drivers looking it down. And look at that shot. 3 wide, almost 4 wide. That's a beautiful camera. That's like story-worthy, movie-worthy. That's what I was looking for. So, we attempt to restart once again. Daniel Hill saying what a save, and indeed it was, especially from Chaussee. I'm surprised that he managed to keep it off the wall, let alone keep it pointed in the right direction. So, I mean, that's incredible stuff there. From what I can see up here in the booth, absolutely. JW Motorsports saying that they might race next week. We would love to see you, as this field continues to grow and has been full quite a few different days. Unfortunately, not reaching the maximum limit of cars, but getting very, very close. Possibly, in fact, no, not possibly, definitely the biggest field size that I've had the absolute pleasure to see. And it's interesting to keep track of it, but I tell ya, it's exciting. I know you can't see it, but I have a huge smile on my face right now just thinking about it. And my right hand has not stopped moving this entire one as we continue to pan the cameras all the way around. But it's been a fantastic show and will continue to be so as we are past, the halfway mark. So Ogle, MacArthur are going to be in your top row. Jones and McDaniel in your second row. Strandberg and Walker are going to be in the third row. If I am not mistaken, the pace car's lights will come off once they pass the start-finish line. And there they go. So yes, we're going to be getting ready to go here. Drivers line up, getting ready to rock and roll. Ogle and MacArthur, the two very dominant drivers. You can see Ogle actually getting, I don't know if there was actually contact there with Eddie Jones, but if there wasn't, that's about as close as you could physically get any car to each other as we get ready to go racing under green. And Ogle is going to take them away as we go and head into turn 2. MacArthur falls back in line behind Ogle. Eddie Jones round the inside of McDaniel now. So McDaniel is stuck on the high side there. Clay Walker on the outside of Kevin Strandberg, able to make that position up as Strandberg dives to the inside. Clay Walker saw it coming, allowed him the room, gets the better run off the exit. Walker is going to take that spot away. As the drivers for, whoa, there was a little bit of a bobble there from Wayne Hufford, as it looks like that dogleg is that, or as I would say, turn 1 is definitely seeming to get under a lot of these drivers' skins, and they are struggling with the grip on that one. As we have fanned out single file for the majority of the field, as Wanamaker is going to be our first side-by-side battle. And immediately as I pan to it, as is per usual up in the broadcast whenever I am doing so, that battle immediately gets moved to a single file battle rather than a 2-wide. But Bates and Nelson now. Bates on the high side. Nelson makes a big lunge to the inside. Checks up the field, not as much as I expected. Checking up the track as Bates had plenty of room there. Still going to be side by side. Ooh, getting down underneath the yellow line, which of course is allowed at Phoenix Raceway. Nelson taking over that spot. Chris Bates falling back behind and now under fire from Wanamaker for that 14th spot. The 74 machine fanning up as high as possible. Try and make his way underneath the 81 machine, and does so. Going to pan slightly further up front as Buscemi has just made his way around Robinson. Still under fire though from Robinson. As Robinson, again, one of those drivers that had an issue early on, but was definitely up fighting for that top 3 position. And we've seen him be up there week in and week out. So fighting to get back to where he would say he probably should be. But that is the nature of especially stock car racing. As one small mistake, one small issue has a huge impact, especially with cars that are so heavy, such tiny brakes, and so little control. As Robinson making a huge, that was a very, very decisive pass over Buscemi there. That was about as good a pass as you can get on the outside. Making it absolutely fly here, Josh Robinson. That Ford is planted exactly the way he wants it to be as Strandberg and Hufford go side by side just in front. Hufford choosing to stay behind. As Robinson continues to work his way through the field. jump on board the gyrocam of Robinson and show you a lap around Phoenix Raceway. So you can see there just how technical this track really is. As you are off the throttle for a almost a majority, I would almost argue, of this track. I mean, it can't be a majority because then they'd be going 0. But, well, that's not necessarily true. But anyway, anyhow, Robinson continuing to make his way through the field as he goes around now Robert Garusko and manages that pass. Relative ease on the outside line. Robinson showing the pace that we knew he had coming into tonight's race, as Ogle has managed to get himself a 4/10 of a second gap over MacArthur in the lead. MacArthur's got himself a second on McDaniel, who is sitting in the third position. But right behind McDaniel is Jones as we pan the camera over there. And these two are actually in a very close fight, as Jones almost looked like was thinking about making the run into what I'm calling turn 4. Fortunately not quite able to do so. And the battle between Strandberg and Hufford continues. As Hufford showing a lot more pace than I personally am used to seeing out of that 75 machine. So fantastic work from him. He's the biggest mover at present that is in the top 10. Up 10 spots. Sitting in the 7th position, but right behind, don't look now, Josh Robinson is making his way through. That 23 Ford is a force to be reckoned with at the moment. And almost Strandberg having to check up a little bit with a failed pass on Walker. Is Hufford going to try and make an attempt? No, decides to back out of it. Probably a good move. Potentially could have made it work. Probably a little bit further back than we actually were expecting though. As Robinson is looking like a shark in a feeding frenzy. Oh, and there's a car riding the wall, doing a bit of a Ross Chastain, goes Brian Lynch. It's not going to work here at Pocono, especially not at turn 2 and 3. There is just way too much wall. And unfortunately finds himself falling down the standings just a little bit. Not as far as we expected though, as he's going to be falling back into the 11th position. But into the clutches now of Jonathan Green. Robinson on the outside of Hufford. As we pan the camera just a tiny bit further forward once again. As Robinson is going to take that spot away, drawing a much higher line than a lot of these drivers around him. But seeming to work as he's made the move on the outside. Pretty much every single car in the top 10 so far. That looked like Brian Lynch was trying something on Buscemi around the outside. Buscemi has a lot of fire on that paint scheme. And a lot of fire under the hood as the Pistons are working their way to make that machine go as fast as possible. But it may not be enough as Lynch is on the high side. And there's a little bit of a bobble, I think, just ahead was Garusko. Able to keep it underneath him though, not lose any spots or much time at all. As Buscemi and Lynch continue to be side by side. Oh, Buscemi almost closed the door. I don't think he was expecting that Lynch was going to be there, but he was able to keep off of both car and wall and keep it pointed in the right direction without losing time. might I add. So once again, proving just how great these drivers all are, as Buscemi has worked his way into the 10th spot right now. Very close battle further back in the pack as Lloyd Moore goes underneath Schrader. Schrader and Moore both involved in incidents earlier on in this race, fighting for the 22nd spot. Further up, Alan Wanamaker. Whoa, that was a rough transition. Excuse me. I apologize for your eyes. as we pan the camera very quickly around halfway around the track as Wanamaker was just passed by Brian Lindsay. Wondering why I'm jumping around so much is because I believe that every driver should be shown on broadcast, and there's a battle going on everywhere. It's the simple way to put it as well. There's plenty of battles. I mean, we just go down to Bruce Pearson, and Bruce Pearson is fighting with Cameron Chaussee, and look behind as we've got Jeff Linden, Lloyd Moore, Mark Schrader, Liz Warsdale as well, and Chris Clark not too far behind as well. All of them fighting for an extra spot as Chaussee gets passed by Pearson now on the outside. Though the 22 machine, we can't look away from him, has made his way up another spot. Warsdale was looking to the outside of Schrader, nothing doing unfortunately. As Ogle, okay. I was seeing him jump down the standings and I was really worried for a second there. Thankfully, just internet connectivity issues, but nothing major enough to cause any problems. So thankfully that is good to see, as that is the worst way to have a race ruined. And the camera back to 14th position because Chris Bates is charged behind Courtney Nelson and is right behind the 30 machine. Battle for the top 5. Clay Walker as a Mr. Josh Robinson. Hey, look at that. We can meet the Robinsons. I don't know if anyone remembers, but that was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I know it's a bit obscure, but it was great. Anyway, Josh Robinson once again trying to fight for that 5th position and get it from Clay Walker. But Walker's proving a really strong competitor in his own right as well. I mean, I shouldn't have said that. That sounds kind of mean to everyone else. I mean, everyone's doing an amazing job. He's currently in 5th though, which is absolutely incredible, as Robinson is trying to take that 5th place spot away, however. And this is not your closest battle on track, but close to being your closest. We'll say that a lot, as Chaussee is going to find himself in the closest battle because he's right alongside Pearson. Pearson goes way too wide. Going to lose 3 spots to Linden and Moore as well as Chaussee. Another spot to Schrader. I think the tyres are starting to wear off on Bruce Pearson's machine just from watching that as Chris Clark goes through, Warsdale goes through. At 22, we've seen Pearson have amazing speed on the short run, and that's probably what's costing him right now. It's too much abuse on those tires, especially that right rear, and that is going to really dampen his spirits for the moment. Caution can always come out, you never know, as once again, he must have heard me on broadcast, because here he comes down pit road to get some 4 freshies on for the final 26 laps of this event, 27 laps of this event. As we saw Clark get very close to passing Schrader there, not able to do so, but getting very close. Warsdale's now trying to find his way through, deciding to keep behind a little bit. They are all going very wide. Everyone is pushing at the moment. Everyone is tight. No one is quite as loose as we expected them to be. Trying to get as much speed scraped off of these cars as possible before coming into turn 2. But turn 2 and 3 is where you can really see just how on these machines are. Start to see the drivers such as Josh Robinson making his way through the pack due to amazing tyre saving, and there's an example right there. Clay Walker's still behind, but Greg McDaniel has fallen into their clutches after having quite a big gap ahead. And I would almost say that McDaniel has used up a little bit more tyre than these two behind, and that is the cause of that gap ever shrinking. McDaniel, Walker, Robinson, all very close together, 4th, 5th and 6th. As these tyres are falling off hard. And it'll be interesting, 25 laps to go. Will anyone decide to stay on these tyres? I highly doubt it. But then the prey comes for the caution. And that's going to throw another spanner in the works. And that is going to be something that a lot of these drivers want to see to get some freshies. And some of these drivers up front, Tom Ogle especially, definitely not wanting to see a caution coming out in these last 20 or so laps. As Robinson made that pass on Clay Walker, we saw it right on the camera. And lap traffic playing a factor as well, as these drivers start to catch up to lap traffic around them. McDaniel now falling into clutches of Robinson. So Robinson is going to be looking to potentially do the classic, as I say, make a pick pass. And he's going to, I would imagine if I was Robinson, that's what I'd be doing. I would be trying to get alongside McDaniel and use that lap traffic as a pick. Try and keep McDaniel behind and make his way through. But Robinson actually showing a little bit like the tyres are getting to him as well, as he's fallen off his usual pace. Just to give you an example, we are close to 2 seconds. In fact, some drivers are 2 seconds slower than what they were in their best laps. So tyre wear is becoming a huge factor as we've got 21 laps to go. And this battle for the top 5, battle for 4th, just does not end. See a lot of drivers really trying to stay single file and allow the tyres to stay underneath them, as they are struggling with tight and loose all over the place. It looks like tight is actually the issue they're fighting for the most part. What I mean by that, in case you are not familiar with NASCAR speak, is it's like understeer, and if you're not familiar with that speak, it's basically the car is pushing. So try to turn and the car is just not turning the way you want it to when you want to carry that speed into the corner. It is just plowing up the track, and that's not what a lot of drivers want. A lot of drivers want a little bit of oversteer, meaning that the car likes to actually turn too much into the corner. You have to fight it on the exit, turn the wheel the other direction to keep it pointed in the right direction, as Robinson goes the outside and makes it look easier around McDaniel. No idea how he managed to pull that one off on how old these tyres are. That 23 machine continues to work his way to the front. Go back in the pack into 14th now. Bollenbaum is right behind Jonathan Green. See a car going slow on the inside there. I believe that was Dawn Greer. On gear, sorry. Oh, and we've got a spin. That's Bates. Saw that at the top of the screen. And everyone should be good to pass without an issue. And that caution, I guarantee a lot of drivers were going to be praying for that one. Let's see how Bates managed to loop himself around right ahead, right behind this battle we were looking at. And just too much throttle, I believe. I was wondering if theirs was contact with the 84. Doesn't look like it, though. And great avoidance by the 84. We're going to have to give a shout out to Michael Watts to avoid that kind of spin. Yep, just a solo spin, and every single driver coming down pit road, which is exactly what we were expecting to see. Oh, and I don't know if you saw that, but Josh Robinson actually missed his exact pit stall, had to back it up just a little bit. That's going to cost him a tiny bit of time. Will that be a huge factor? It may be, as Ogle just barely beats MacArthur. Yes, Robinson's going to fall back 2 spots, it looked like. So that could have cost Robinson a spot or 2 there coming out of pit road. Michael Lemonchek, we saw pacing around, was shown as the top spot, but was just coming into pit road himself. The drivers make their way around to get behind the pace car once again. Excuse me, that wasn't on the side earlier on. I was mentioning was the black machine. Find it. It's not Wayne Hufford, that's for sure. He is a black machine, but it was not him. Oh, I got a little bit of time. Oh well. Was it Bruce Pearson? No, it wasn't. I've seen Pearson many times, and he's in a lime green machine. And it wasn't Courtney Nelson. Oh well, that's fine. Got a tiny bit of time to fool around a little bit before we get back to green. So we were searching, and we came up short. So sad. And Jeremy Mayo coming out with the word, and I agree with him exactly. Ogle, MacArthur, Jones, McDaniel, and Robinson all in the top 5. It's going to be a star-studded restart, fighting for the last 14 laps. Starting in 6th is going to be Strandberg as well. Also no stranger to being up near the front, as they get ready to go once again. Heading to the green, and here we go. So Ogle takes the lead over MacArthur once again. That inside line really proving to be the way of the road. McDaniel on the high side, trying to keep Jones behind and managing to do so for the moment. Just able to do it. Yes, cuts in front. So Jones falling down the standings a little bit as Strandberg makes his way through. Robinson not happy to see it, as Robinson wants to keep moving forward, as he is underneath Strandberg now and fighting for a 5th place spot. Oh, Strandberg got a little bit loose on that high side, but just barely manages to not get involved, as, oh, there's some interesting news as Jones goes down to the apron. Not sure what's going on there as he goes into the pit lane. MacArthur is trying to fight for the lead, as Ogle and MacArthur go side by side, or attempt to, as MacArthur backs out right at the very end. Probably a good idea on his part, as McDaniel looks on, trying to follow and see if there's any kind of a gap that can be reached. MacArthur gets the fastest lap of the race so far as a 27.75. So he is riding the back of Tom Ogle at the moment, really trying everything he can to get Ogle out of that top spot that he's been in the entirety of this race so far, as there is a battle going on for 7th position, as well as Walker gets passed by Garisco. Garisco to the high side. the 28 machine and the 2. Oh, Risco comes down in front, making Walker check up just a little bit. Hufford trying to take advantage, not close enough to do so, as that almost made Walker turn perfectly around turns 2 and 3, as he goes now to the inside. Garisco once again trying to find that position, but Garisco is going to have too much of a drive on exit and is going to keep that spot ahead of of Walker, and I'm losing my mind as a little bit further back Courtney Nelson is trying against McRubbin for the 11th spot. And they are trying desperately to get into the top 10. Both of these drivers side by side as they get very close to touching, but not quite, as Courtney falls in behind, but decides once again to try something. Not got enough speed to do it. Jonathan Green coming in underneath as well. Not quite able to do just behind. I'm sounding like a horse racing commentator, I just realized, as Garisco and Clay Walker once again go side by side into the 6th position. Walker now underneath, finally gets it done. Hufford trying to follow through. There's a little bit of a shuffle back there with Buscemi and Lynch. Hufford checks up Buscemi. Buscemi goes a little bit wide, but is able to keep on the gas, as Hufford is trying to take that spot away from Garisco now, and does so. Hufford into the 7th position. Your biggest mover of the race, Bob Fellenbaum, up into the 15th place, up 17 spots from where he started, and he's all the way back at the rear end of this massive field right now. All these cars under a blanket. It's absolutely crazy, as McDaniel has Robinson right behind. That is very, very close indeed. These top 4 drivers running away with it, as Strandberg is a second behind Robinson in that 5th place spot. You can see the gap there. Greg McDaniel and Robinson not side by side, but definitely right behind each other, as Robinson wants to make it side by side. 6 laps to go, coming to 5. Ogle takes that 5 lap to go sign as Barney gets ready to wave the white flag. It's going to be a little while, but it will come out. We guarantee that. Whether it comes out under caution or not, it will be out. Courtney Nelson underneath McRubbin. Oh, has passed McRubbin, excuse me. Coming up to Lynch. Lynch not happy to see Courtney Nelson just behind. Nelson has shown a lot of pace in the short run. So Nelson is trying to make their way up. Lee Warsdale a little bit further back. Sorry for your eyes once again. That got a little bit more aggressive transition than I expected. So Lee Warsdale into the right on the tail end of Lindsay and yeah, that's definitely Lindsay. That's not Wanamaker though. That is Bates. So Bates is actually a lap down, but he's just found himself involved in a situation with a battle going on right around him. So he's going to have to be careful not to get involved too much, as Lynch and Nelson go side by side. And Nelson is going to make that pass, dives it in deep into turn 2. Coming out of turn 3. Not able to do so. Eddie Jones called out for maybe having a pass-through in the YouTube side of things. That could have been. So maybe had a pass-through penalty for speeding down pit road. That was really ruined his chances, and really, unfortunately, taken him out of the contention for this race, really at the end of the top end here. Tom Ogle still leading the charge, but Dwayne MacArthur not too far behind. He's going to have to try something desperate to be able to make it. White flag is coming out. Barney the flagman getting his money for the day as he waves his white flag. I was trying to find something else to say, but couldn't do it. Ogle and MacArthur are still going to be almost nose to tail. Ogle's got some traffic just ahead. That traffic is going to have to be very lenient, as Robinson has also made his way around McDaniel. We missed that pass for 3rd. So Ogle, MacArthur, and Robinson, it looks like, are going to be 1, 2, and 3, and there they go. What a finish. And I can't believe how much, I lost my voice a little bit there, and I started sounding like a horse racing commentator that I would hear in Australian races. So apologies for that. We're taking it out of motorsport and back into but it's still a form of racing, so let's get that going. So fantastic win here from Tom Ogle. And here's your results as the 3 cars park up. Oh, a little bit low down to get our perfect camera angle. We're enjoying so much on the restarts. Oh well, so Tom Ogle, Dwayne MacArthur, Josh Robinson, Greg McDaniel, and Kevin Strandberg are going to be your top 5. Walker, Hufford, Briscoe, Buscemi, Nelson, Lynch, McRubbin, Green, Follenbaum, or your top 15. Jose, Baker, Schrader. On Schrader, we have Wanamaker, Lindsay, your top 20. Borsdell, Clark, Chris Clark, Michael Lemenchek, Jeff Linden, and Daniel Dean Gear. I don't know where Daniel came from. In the 25th position, 26th, Michael Watts, Chris Bates, and Jeff Miller. Went through this grid very quickly, as Eddie Jones and Patrick Martindale are going to be top 30. Gentry, Dodson, Martin, Lane, and Pearson are going to be 30 to 35. Al Turner 36, Hastings in 37, and unfortunately Kenneth Schultz not the showing that he wanted. It's going to be back in the 38th position. So we are going to get ready for some interviews that I know are going to be very interesting to hear the drivers' opinions. So we're going to get that one queued up and find who we're looking for. As all 3 of them are already in the booth. Wow, that was quick. I was reading through grid. So we're going to pull in Robinson here. There we go. Josh Robinson. I fixed it. There we go. I just realized my mic was muted in the channel, and I'm back. Robinson, are you able to hear us, or are you trying again from your phone? Robinson, we cannot hear you. Just waiting for Robinson to hopefully get something sorted out on his end. I believe it's his end that unfortunately
You got a
there
copy,
he is.
Gareth?
There he is. There was a bit of an issue on my part. I had my mic muted in Discord for some reason, and then a bit of an issue on your part, but we've got it in. Robinson, welcome to the booth. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. How you doing tonight, Gareth?
I'm doing fantastically. I mean, talk to us about that race, because you had that issue, you fell all the way. Well, talk to us about that issue. What exactly happened?
So when you're going through that dog leg too wide, if you lift a little bit and get a little too close to that apron, it's a pretty violent reaction, and that thing just took off to the inside for me. I'm just I, I'm not really so happy that I saved it as much as I'm happy I didn't come back up the track and wreck the field.
Well, I tell you, I mean, it was very close. Wanamaker had to do some dicey maneuvering, be able to make sure everyone was kept it clean. But man, you really struggled with that machine after that. But before that, you were on rails, and even after, while you're making your way through the field, I know I'm contradicting myself saying this, but you had an insane amount of pace on that machine, and really fought hard with McDaniel there towards the end.
Yeah, that was some really good side-by-side racing that Clay and McDaniels, Kevin, and Joey Buscemi and I had. That was a lot of fun, but Tom and Dwayne just had a really good pace, especially Tom. He was class of the field tonight.
All right, well, Josh, I gotta ask you as well. That outside line, I've never seen anyone at Phoenix pass as much as you on that outside line. How did you manage to make that stick, especially with how worn your tires were as well when you got around Clay Walker towards the end there?
There is a lot of hope. The guys in this league are really clean, do a really good job of holding their lines. So, when you're racing with Clay and with Daniel and those guys, you know that they're going to hold to their lines. So you can have a lot of trust on that inside guy. And it was just sticking up there. As we go through race review, you're going to see that I scraped the wall quite a bit. But I was just trying to make the track a little wider.
All right. Well, I'm not sure you succeeded, as I think it might take a little bit more effort than just a car scraping the wall to make the track a bit wider. But well, it's been great talking to you. Who would you like to give a shout out to for this third place finish that you definitely deserved?
Shout out to my teammates. Shout out to the League admins keeping this going. Shout out to the sponsors. Our league sponsor or our series sponsor in Kimball. That helps out a lot. And then the other guys throughout the week as well. It's a lot of effort for the admins, especially Dwayne and Victor to keep this thing going. So thanks to them.
All right, sounds good, Josh, and great to see you, and we hope to see you again in the near future,
Thanks, Gareth. Have a good night.
too. All right, that was Robinson sitting in your third place. Next up, Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in second position. Dwayne, you got a copy?
Hey, Gareth.
Hello, Dwayne. How are you feeling? What is going through your mind? So close to Tom Ogle. Oh man, that race was getting very, very intense. Just not enough.
Yeah, no, I'm quite happy. I've had a couple of rough weeks in the Cup Series, so glad to come home and have a good points day. I knew Tom was very strong here. It was going to take some sort of mistake or get him on a restart. Um, in that clean air, I couldn't get around him in that clean air at all. I don't kept getting little runs, but I'm just more than happy to come home, have a good points day, and move on from Phoenix.
All right. Well, yeah, this track, it's funny. This track is not liked by a whole heap of people, and I wonder why is that? Is it just weird shape of it, or what's your reason for not being a huge fan of Phoenix?
I've It's starting to grow on me. Historically, I've always not liked this track, probably based on results. It tends to get a lot more cautions than other tracks. I think, this outside of Martinsville, we average more cautions here than anywhere else. So it's hard to get into a flow and into a rhythm. And I've never truly understood my pacing and tire wear. Um, so that's it for me. I mean, it's such a unique track. It's got a lot of challenges and different braking zones. So I think it's just the unknown of how the race is going to go, that it's not popular, and then it is extremely hard to drive on.
Well, we saw plenty of examples of that, but I was amazed at how clean and how calm and collected everyone seemed to be. Dwayne, you found yourself in second and basically staying there the whole time. Now, I do want to ask you about the restarts. Is it purely like was Tom able to stay in front of you because he chose when to go, or was he able to stay in front of you just because that low line was just the way forward? Because you seemed like you got some good runs on the high side, but just not quite able to do so.
Yes. So, oh, excuse me, hold on. So we go on green here. So we both go on the same time, and actually, Uh, uh, the first couple of restarts, I was getting such a good run on them, but I was getting a warning as I got to the line, telling me not to pass the leader, so I had to lift. And and in hindsight, Tom probably should have been taking the top. I think it was better on the restarts, but I kept having to kind of just breathe the throttle as I got to the line. I was worried I was going to get black flag from the flagman there. And then on the last one, I was just asleep at the wheel, but being a little too cautious. I think the top would have been better. If I could have got to turn one on the outside of him, I think I could have got by him. But I just was never able to get all the way there and still be on the outside of him.
All right. Well, I tell you, there's Unfortunate to bring it home in second, but definitely nothing to sneeze at either. So a great race from you. And last but not least, who would you like to give a shout out to for a second place that certainly wasn't a difficult second place to get, but oh no, I would say it was a difficult second place to get, as you were struggling with. Well, I think everyone was. Anyway, I'm gonna stop waffling.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah, no, I'll thank my teammates. First of all, to second place with this group of drivers is quite an accomplishment. I feel pretty proud. Everybody out on the track is so strong. All the bastards that race out here every week. I want to thank them for the environment that and the racing on the track. So thanks to my last ditch racing teammates, bouncing ideas off each other. Unfortunate for Eddie, he got a black flag there coming to that pace car. And then thanks to our sponsors, Kimball, obviously our series sponsor. We also have Butt Kicker, AO Logs, Admin Box, Sim Racer Hub on board, and of course, VictoryLaneSports.com. So special thanks to them, all the admins that help put the show on, and you, James, the whole Team Goon squad crew for putting on a good show every week for us to show what we can do. So I appreciate it.
don't mention it, man. And great to see you, Dwayne. And hopefully we can see you up here in Victory Lane in not too short a time.
That would sound good to me, my man. Thanks a lot.
All right, that was Dwayne MacArthur bringing it home in second. Last but not least at all is going to be Tom Ogle bringing it up in the top spot. Tom, have you got a copy of me?
Yep, I gotcha.
Well, I don't know what to say other than you led this one from the green all the way through. And you know what? The first thing I'm going to ask you is how was tire management? Because we saw people plowing towards the end of those long green flag runs.
So the car got really loose, so I had put in like a ton of front brake because I figure I'll burn my right front off and live with it, but I didn't want to get loose. And then I really tried to manage the rear tires. You had to manage the rear tires was the key, and I just really drove up easy off the corner, which is not my MO usually. I just like really decided I'm going to drive up off, save the tires, and try to stay out front.
Well, I tell you, it seemed to work, and you seemed to pull a bit of a gap on Dwayne MacArthur. Um, most of the run, especially on the long run. The short run, I don't know. You guys were pretty evenly matched. Might have actually had the upper hand on you a little bit off the restarts. And he was wondering. He did mention to me he was wondering why you chose the inside lane on the restarts when the outside did seem to have a little bit more grip up there.
I I don't know. After the race, I was thinking about that, and I should have, but I think I could get through the dog leg a little bit better. On the top, it tended to get loose. It was probably better on the top, but I figured I'm going to go into one and I'm going to send it into one and see what happens. It's better to eight tires turn better than four sometimes. I figured if he was out there late in the race, that we would have to work it out.
Well, I mean, I've got to agree with you there. 8 tires do definitely turn better than 4.
I mean, the smart thing 100% would have been take the top, because also that inside guy can't get even a slight jump or he gets a black flag. So it would have been smarter, but I hadn't restarted up there at all, so I didn't know. You know what I mean? You don't want to make that decision like on the last restart with 10 laps to go. So it's kind of too late by that time.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't I don't disagree with you at all there. You gotta follow what's tried and true, and you knew that the bottom was working, so you stayed
Yeah,
with
I
it.
mean, I knew how to start on the bottom, and I knew I could throw it into one. So I decided just to dance with the one that got me there, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough. Now, how was lap traffic for you? Because we weren't watching too closely at the lap traffic, but I definitely saw that it came into play towards the end of.
a couple a couple guys, like, it seemed like when we would catch them early in the run, they would go down on the apron getting into one, like they were looking in their mirror or something, and a couple guys got loose, and then somebody got loose into three the one time, and I was always close by when those guys spun out, that's for sure, but I just kind of slowed down and went around them. But
Oh.
yeah, it gets you right. You know, you see a guy in front of you go down on the apron, you know he's going to spin, and it does cause you to clutch up a little bit. You know.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I don't know what else to say other than you as I said, you led from the front. You stayed on front. You've got this track figured out. Now, how do you feel heading into Atlanta Motor Speedway next week?
That's a wild card. And listen, I've had kind of a disastrous season uh, in the OBRL in the Cup Series. I got loose last week, like late in the race. If something can happen, it's happened. So I don't have high hopes going to Atlanta with that just wide open drafting. You know what I mean? It's such luck. I guess if I can get out front and just ride on the top, I'll just stay there and hope for the best. But I'm not real confident going there. It's such a crapshoot, you know.
Well, I tell you what, I'm sure we'll see you towards the front, regardless of what happens. I certainly hope so, as it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Who would you like to give a shout out to for this first place
Uh,
here tonight?
I want to. It's Kevin, Brian Lynch, Josh, my teammates. We talk about stuff and they help you make decisions, whether to pit, whether not to pit. I want to congratulate Eddie on his black flag. It's always good to see when something bad happens to Eddie. And thank all the admins for putting the league on and the sponsors of the league. And just give a shout out to James. Hope his giant foot's looking better. Look forward to the developing pictures.
Oh yeah, so am I. I tell you, well, that's sportsmanship
This,
101 if I've ever heard
yeah,
it.
that's a disgusting foot he's got, isn't it?
Oh, it's not looking very pretty after he's dropped his
No, it is not.
he dropped a chicken coop on it. Did you hear?
Yes. What? I mean, of course he did. He lives in Georgia. That's about the most basic thing that happens down there.
All right.
He was at the emergency room. There was probably 5 guys in front of him that had dropped chicken coops on their feet. He was waiting for.
I wouldn't doubt it at all.
But all right, yeah. Hey, thanks for the interview. Thanks for bringing me in. Good job on the call tonight.
Appreciate it, and
No
I'll be
problem.
back. I'll be back next week, and I'm sure
Great.
you'll be
We'll
back in
talk
the
to you.
booth with me as well.
If maybe you can pull me in when I get crashed on lap 3, I'll come in and help finish the broadcast with you.
All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens, I guess.
Have a good night.
All right. Have a good one, Tom. We'll catch you next
Yep.
time.
Thank you.
All right. That was Tom Ogle bringing it home in the first position and having an absolute blast with that he's finally been able to take home the top spot here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. So, thank you once again to all the family, friends, viewers at home, drivers, and from myself and Team Goon Squad. Geez, I'm probably tripping over myself again, but hey, thank you to everyone tuning in, and we will see you next week, same time, same place. Have a good one.